Hey, I'm Kathy Zalewski. This is Kaila Henry. We are realtors with Realty One Group Peak in Bozeman, Montana. We're here at Hooked Sushi today and just talking about a couple of things that we thought might be important as a seller in Bozeman in terms of prepping your house for sale. So you go.
So Kathy, we were talking about things, and what is the bare minimum you expect from your seller in terms of home prep before bringing their home to market?
So I have a little thing that I use. It's called the 3Ds. And I tell my sellers this at the listing appointment. First of all, declutter. So take anything out of the house that you can start with the easy stuff, expired foods, anything that's broken, anything that doesn't fit anymore, anything that you haven't used in 3 years. And decluttering means all areas of the house. Like I said, maybe expired foods. So your kitchen cabinets and your bathroom. If you have 39 bottles of shampoo and conditioner in your shower, take those out or pack them up if you want to keep them. That's great. But declutter. The second one is depersonalize. And I think that's really important. I've got a couple stories, and I'm sure you do too, Kaila, of when buyers come into a home, they might get sucked into your family photos and different things. Oh, you're into Kung Fu fighting. You have a collection of Japanese swords. Well, suddenly that buyer is not thinking about your house anymore. They're thinking about who lived there.
They're wondering who you are.
Right, exactly.
It can be a big distraction for a small thing.
Right. So take away all that, depersonalize your space. I think that in the reality is if we do this right the first time, you're only putting away for top 60 days. Right? If we do this right, if we price a home right, if it looks great when it goes on the market, you're only getting rid of this stuff for 60 days.
And something I always like to tell my clients is you're going to be packing anyways. If you are selling your home, all of this stuff needs to go anyways. Do yourself a favor and get it done up front. You will see the rewards in how your home presents and comes on market, and it will make closing day much easier for you, which we'll talk about later too.
When you've got 30% of your stuff packed already. So then the last D of the 3Ds is deep clean. And by that, I mean, seriously, if you have pets, I have 3 dogs, just going through and vacuuming the couches and cleaning or taking out all the rugs, even wiping down the walls and all that kind of thing really helps to get that dog smell out of the house. And you'd be surprised. It's not something you do every day, but a buyer will absolutely recognize and be more comfortable in a clean home. So those are my 3 non-negotiables: declutter, depersonalize, and deep clean.
Yep.
So do you have a set path, Kaila, that you guys tell your sellers to follow when they're getting their home ready for sale?
We do. I feel like every client and every home is different. So while it does vary, there's things we're absolutely recommending and helping people do to prepare their home for market. And so again, to me, you hit on them really well with 3Ds. To me, number one, I'm going to say it again, deep clean your home. It is really something that to me is a non-negotiable. Sometimes we recommend just hire a cleaning service. They will clean it like it should be, and then do your best to keep it. I understand it's hard if you have kids or pets, but to me, that is really the number one thing you can do to help a buyer feel comfortable, because everybody has different levels of cleanliness in their life, and you want to appeal to the full spectrum of that.
Well, and like you said, Kaila, all this work at the onset will save you time later. The last thing you want to do when you're trying to get out of the house on closing day is to have to, now I've got to go through and wipe down all the walls and wipe down all the baseboards and clean out the refrigerator and all that stuff. If you've done all that 30 days prior to closing day, 45 days, 60 days, it's probably not going to need it again.
It'll be a quick wipe, nothing too crazy. So
right.
I do always have a plan for my sellers. And again, that's part of the pre-listing meeting where you're talking about what it might look like when you're bringing their home on the market and what you expect from them.
For sure.
And so let's say a seller, Kathy, has done the bare minimum, the 3Ds, declutter, depersonalize, and deep clean, and you have another 4 or 5 days before photos. What would you have your buyers do?
If they had an extra 4 or 5 days before photos, I would go into some of the stuff that either hire a professional to come in and do it, but make sure that you're cleaning off all the HVAC grate.
And replacing the furnace filter, since that's frequently called out in home inspections.
Right. Furnace filter, light bulbs, check for any out light bulbs. And even if you can, if you've got time and money, which here we're talking about maybe 4 or 5 days, get all the same wattage, at least in per room, right? Nothing's weirder, especially in the photography, facility where you've got one bluish light bulb and one yellow light bulb.
Yeah.
What
Not
happened
in a
there?
college dorm.
Right. So I think that those are some of the things. Go through, depending on what time of year, make sure the yard is cleaned up.
That's a big one. Yard and your front door. I know
Yeah.
my front door gets dirt blown on it. We live on somewhat of a busy street. And so I do wash my front door and get your stoop, clear it from cobwebs, any sort of dead leaves, really work on that curb appeal from the front in the beginning. I think that's a huge one.
Yeah.
And pretty easy and hopefully low cost.
Well, and the agent, while the agent is sitting there fumbling with the lockbox, finding the key and getting the buyers into your house,
They're looking
like, oh. So keep your front porch really clean. I think that's a great thing.
Tidy up the yard, mow your lawn, trim shrubs, clear out dead leaves. I think all those small things really go a long ways.
And if you've already done the declutter part, so maybe you have a pile of stuff that needs to go to the recycle, especially paint, anything that is a little bit more high maintenance than just going to the Bozeman facility here, which is great.
Site.
Take some of that stuff. It's just something you don't have to worry about later. Do it now, because I have had to take 32 cans of paint to the recycle center after my sellers left town. It wasn't fun.
It sucks.
I was wearing heels and it was snowing. So just maybe take care of some of those things right at the onset.
And again, you're really doing yourself a favor when you get your home sold, because you'll still have a lot to do once you're under contract.
Absolutely. So then my next question, Kaila, is just what are the tips that you tell your sellers will make showings and inspections easier?
That's a great one, because I know a lot of sellers typically have anxiety or are stressed about showings and inspections. My number one big thing is, again, make sure your home is prepared. It should feel like you're not living there. So for showings, to me, do your best to just keep the house super, super clean, so that when you get a showing request, you don't have to say no because you might need to go home and clean it, or do your best to have someone who can cover dogs. Well, we can ask, of course, for notice for showings. It's not uncommon in the Bozeman market to have buyers call on short notice and say, hey,
we're in your driveway.
I'm catching a flight in 2 hours. Can I look at this home? Because we really like it. And we've sold houses that way. You want to be able to accommodate as many showings as possible, because you just never know where your buyer might come from. So really being ready to go at the drop of a hat, unfortunately, is part of having your home on the market and ready to sell.
But again, the more prep work you do, the less that you'll have to go through that, because it's more likely that one of the first
buyers likes what they see.
Buyers likes it and writes the offer.
I think for home inspections too, one thing, really making sure that, again, you've changed your furnace filters, like Kathy said, adding light bulbs so that the home inspector isn't wondering if there's an electrical issue. Those things can just really help a home inspection go smoothly, to make sure that your basic appliances and everything is working.
Absolutely. And we'll touch on this a little bit more. I always tell my sellers to go ahead and everything under all the sinks, the bathroom sink, the kitchen sinks, maybe even in the laundry room if you've got something there, put everything in a rubber tote so that it can easily all be pulled out at once. Two reasons for that. One, the inspector is going to get under there, and so he's going to touch all your stuff. The easier you make it for him, the better things will go. Number two is, once you take everything out of there, if there was a leak under there or anything, now you would know, and you would be able to fix that in advance for a potential buyer. I think it's just really important to that's part of the declutter stuff. Maybe you end up with only 3 bottles of sauce underneath your bathroom sink instead of 30, which would be great. But even so, just being able to do that. That's one of my biggest tips.
And it does really help when your home presents as incredibly streamlined for the inspector. We've been through hundreds of inspections, and my favorite thing to roll up and have my home inspector tell me is, this house looks really well cared for. They really pay attention.
Yes.
And so doing that prior to, again, bringing your home on the market or having it inspected just really gives the perception that your home has been really cared for over the years, which really goes a long ways. You can't really put a value on it.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly helpful.
I love that.
Kathy, let's say your sellers have an extra $1,000 to $2,000 to spend on staging. What should they spend it on? What would you recommend that they spend a little bit of money on to make their home really stand out in the market?
So I think for me, something that I always notice when I'm looking at homes is not so much the doodads, but I would spend $100, $120 on per room on new fresh bed linens, new comforters and pillow shams, and make the beds look really fluffy and nice. It goes a long way. It just feels a lot more accessible than personal when everything is new. So if you've got a 4-bedroom house, it's going to cost you, I don't spend a lot of money. Go to TJ Maxx. They have the whole bed in a bag thing for.
But having a matching bed set with nice, fresh, fluffy pillows, maybe a throw pillow a throw blanket at the foot of the bed, again, can really help the home stand out from having old threadbare sheets.
No buyers want to think about that's where you see, even though they don't know
Make
you.
it look fresh.
Right.
It's worth it.
I also want to, and maybe this will go on the blooper reel, but one of my pet peeves is like when you walk into a house and you're showing it and it's like somebody just got out of the shower.
Nothing
Like
worse than
it's
walking
in there and
swampy shower. 100%.
We'll
Same
say
thing
that.
with cooking, honestly.
Yes.
Do not cook anything.
Right.
For I feel like that's hopefully common sense, but really, really don't cook.
Definitely
don't cook
not
anything.
like salmon.
There should be no smells. Also, don't buy Glade plugins. That's not a good fix either. If anything, open up your windows a little bit. Just get some fresh air. That's all you need.
And again, the cleaning phase, I'd rather smell Mr. Clean than smell Eau de Hawaii via Renews It or whatever. That's old. They probably, now you know how old I am. So that's kind of, those are my big tips that I give sellers at the onset. We've signed the listing agreement and now it's time to, now you've got work to do. But I tell them exactly what you said at the beginning. The more you put into this end, the easier the rest of it's going to be. And honestly, the more money you're going to get for your home.
And I do find oftentimes when we meet with folks, they're asking us, how fast can we move? I don't know about you Kathy, but for us, we can do paperwork really fast. I can get a photographer in couple days to a week. So things can move really fast on our end. This is the stage that really takes our clients the most time because it's often something that gets underestimated about how long and how hard it is to clean out a home. So as you're planning or as you're considering bringing your home on the market, just know there could be quite a bit of a lag before you contact a realtor and when you actually get your home on the market, not because of us, but just because it takes a long time to get your home ready for market.
I would also say that it can be quite overwhelming. Whether you have a small home or a large home, it can be overwhelming. So just give yourself a little bit of time.
And grace, because this is often a really hard part.
If you have to start one kitchen cabinet at a time, that is okay. One room, one closet, whatever. And then just tell your agent, hey, I'm going to do it really well, like you told me to, but it's going to take me 2 weeks. No problem. We want it done really well. That's going to save all of us time and make more money for you.
I kid you not. We had somebody reach out and then a year later we brought their home to market because it was a family home. She raised 2 kids there and has lived there up into her 90s. And so it really did take a long time.
Absolutely.
That's okay. We were there for her when she was ready. And I think she appreciated our guidance because it helped her understand how important it is to get your home ready.
Absolutely. Well, that should be at least some good tips and tricks for getting your home ready for sale. We will attach some resources, links to resources here in the Bozeman area. Companies like Junk in the Trunk or
Gather and Go is great.
Right. And then there's a Hand-Me-Down 406 companies that will help you get rid of some of the stuff that you don't need or want anymore. And we'll also attach something about the Bozeman Convenience Center and recycling there. So thanks again. We'll see you soon.